there may be times where there's floods or a tornado or something. Now they talk about politics creating storms. Sometimes if you look at everything, is our whole life here just a video game? You know what I mean? I mean, really, what reality do we want to be in, you know? So there's many different angles and many different theories of how we live our life and how the weather is controlled, this and that, you know? Yes, man-made things and man-made big boys. If we didn't have religions, it would be an easier place. The politics and the religion really play a part in our thoughts. So pay attention to that. You know, not everybody can be the same in the world because that would be pretty boring world, right? If everybody was the same, you know? So everybody plays a part in this world as well. Hi, my name is Sheila Marie. I'm a forensic psychic medium. What that means is I used to be a police officer years ago. Now what I do is I incorporate my policing with my mediumship and I act as a contractor for families and agencies. I draw maps and faces. I work in research. So basically, I do believe that when we die, we kind of shed these bodies like butterflies do a cocoon. We go to a place of enlightenment, to Buddhahood, a heaven, another dimension. So how I know I'm receiving information from spirit was I was taught in my the first class that I took how to receive information from the universe. And what I've come up with is a blueprint of how to let go of the fear, because fear blocks the energy and the connection to the universe. And what is fear? False evidence appearing real, right? So once you let go of the fear, it opens you up, it helps you not block it. And the key to connecting to the universal energies is to not think. When you think, you block the energy. Okay. So when I'm teaching, I'm always telling the people, if they're the students, did you say the word think? You say you feel. You don't think anymore because you can actually think subconsciously as well. And when you're thinking subconsciously, again, you're blocking the connection. So a lot of times, like say I'm doing a reading for someone, and all of a sudden I'm receiving information, and all of a sudden I'm seeing someone's grandmother. Okay, you know, typical grandmother, you know, gray hair, she's elderly, this and that, and all of a sudden I see a pink elephant, and I'm like, what I do is I don't want to think about what I saw. I want to say what I saw because when I think I block the connection, but I'll know subconsciously I did not create that pink elephant. You know, where did that come from? You know, a lot of times when people start learning to tap into the energies, they doubt a lot. You know, so my job as their guide, I tell everybody, I'm not your teacher. Your guides are your teachers. I'm just your guide to get you to your teachers, you know. So my job is to help them to understand when they're thinking subconsciously and when they're not thinking. And so we do exercises in the class like that. So basically, it's really interesting. As I started doing my mediumship, you know, so I teach students and you know, we're doing readings all the time and everything I'm receiving is from spirit, you know, because I open myself up as a vessel and I allow spirit to show me what I need to see or feel or know, because there's what we call the inner light system. Well, what I call it the inner light system, you know. So basically, it's that system that connects with your inner and outer consciousness of the universe and the vibrations around you and your guides, you know, and your higher consciousness. So what I try to do is I tap people into their inner light system, you know, and how do we do that? We let go of the fear, which is false evidence appearing real. We trust, and how do we trust? We have to have faith in a higher power. And some people, you know, they don't believe in their gods or anything like that. So I said, you have a relative, or do you believe in the universe? You know, trust the universe, trust your higher power, trust your inner self, your higher self, and let go and quote, let God, in a sense, take the reins. Because once you let go of the reins, it's very easy. Like that time I was in that class, you know, I said, okay, Jesus, Mary, I give it to you. Just if I'm not supposed to do this, don't let me see this. And I trusted 5,000 million percent that they would do this for me. And because of that, it made me open. You know, it cleared the channel from me. It didn't block me. So it's really important. I tell everybody, oh, trust your guides, you know, and give them the reins. And once you, and it's one thing to say it, But there's another thing to feel it too. So you truly have to, with all your heart, give them the reins. And spirit will work with you because spirit is always around you and wanting you to develop. They're wanting to work with you to connect with you. And not everybody wants to be a medium. That there's people that just want to learn to connect because it's who we are as beings. It's your birthright to know how to connect because we're a soul, we're a atma, and we're light first before we're these bodies. These bodies are just our astronaut suit. Our light is what's inside us. And when we pass, our bodies don't work and our light continues and it transforms into the love that you are. And you are deep love. And it's the highest connection of the vibration of the universe. And I think that's what gets me going, keeps me going is when I connect, you can feel that energy and that connection of love where it's just the highest peace there is. And peace in a sense where it's connection, it's understanding, it's love, it's beautiful. So I'm kind of what I call energy junkie. So I go in and I want to stay in all the day because it feels so good. And then when I come out and I have to come out to the world. And the world is a hard place, but there is a love connection that's happening and a love vibration. It's one of the highest vibration. It is the highest vibration, I believe, of the universe. I forget what I was talking about. Well, I believe the reason why people are becoming more spiritually aware right now is because we're having dark times right now. There's a big shift going on in the universe. And in order for that shift to happen, there's a negative and a positive. And the negativity, people are feeling it. So they're searching. And what happens is sometimes when we have the darkest moments, it's our aha moment. It's our enlightening moment as well. So we're searching and when we're searching, when we hit the bottom of the barrel, is another way to put it. What do we do? We're asking the universe, help us. And because of that, we have a spiritual awakening. So there's a lot of negativity and shifting happening in the world. And also the media is concentrating on the negative. There's a lot of beautiful, positive things happening in the world, but they never talk about it. And because of that energy, like on Facebook, on news and all that, it creates an energy to a negative energy. So I always say, don't watch the news, don't watch the Facebook. If you see anything negative, put a blinder to it and watch something positive because they're feeding that. That evil in the world is feeding it. And so a lot of people are becoming more spiritual because it's an awakening time in a sense. But years ago, it's really interesting because a lot of people are like, wow, this is really new consciousness. It's not new. In the beginning of times, everybody was consciousness, everybody was spiritual, everybody was artists, everybody were feelers, way back in, I don't know, you can't quote me on times, but I'll go way back, okay? And this is before technology and all that. Everybody was feelers. They were more loving, kind, spiritual, and creating. And so what's happening is it's making the shift, and we're actually going back that way, which is a good thing. So we're actually cycling again, is really what's happening. And this is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And it's awareness and focus because we've been so socialized in our time to be robots in a sense and do as we're told, and truly that's not who we are as souls. We're loving, kind people. Yes, there's some negativity and evil in the world. Yes, some people are that way and some people choose to be that way as well. But it is a choice, and you can always change that. But people are going more now towards people are feeling the awakening and the shift. Oh, it's really interesting, I have to tell you. So I travel all around the world. Right now I'm in Thailand, okay? And I just find in the Western world, in the United States, it's like, wow, this is happening. But in other parts of the country, people are already spiritual. They haven't lost that through their families. They understand the past. They know where they came from. Whereas America is a new country. And we're kind of a little lost because we all have different cultures and we're all shoved into one space together. So it's a lost place in a sense because there's no foundation. The foundations are in other places, and you see that as you go around the world, you'll notice that more cultures and most cultures are very spiritual and they understand that and they're not judgmental. It's not about my religion's better than yours, isn't that? No, it's just spiritual, you know? It's a more of a connection to the universe. With IT and the way the world is now, it's, very prominent in the Western world where we're ahead with technology. So that's even more of the negativity and the positivity. I have a lot of friends that are in India and they'll see things on the news, but I'll say, no, that's not true. That's something the news said. You know what I mean? So it's all about perception too, you know? So I really feel that everyday people will feel these changes because they'll realize and see that the technology is another form of control. It's another form of control. So turning the television off, turning Facebook off. Nothing against Facebook. I like Facebook myself. Turning off the social media at certain times of the day and just being conscious of what you're doing. Are you eating? Are you sitting? Are you walking outside? You'll see that when they turn off the control, they'll become more conscious of who they are as beings. And you don't need money to do that. You just need you. That's all. And my hope and pray for the universe is that people become more conscious, because when you become more conscious, you won't have so much anxiety. You'll let go of the worry, the thoughts, the monkey mind that's happening within you. A lot of that monkey mind, that frustration, that anxiety is created from the fear base of people talking even. So it's really, really important to pay attention to how you're reacting to a situation. So your friend is a Democrat and they don't like what you think about your values of politics. That's okay. Everybody has opinions, but everybody doesn't have to be the same, because that's just not how it is in the world. Everybody, especially in the Western world, we're independent, where we can be whoever we want to be to a certain degree. You know what I mean? People are going to say and do what they want. That's their opinion, but it doesn't mean that you have to react to it. That's where your power is, in your reaction, you know? How's that? Global warming, all that kind of stuff, this and that. The earth is living. The earth is living, right? The earth is alive and it's always constantly changing. And it's really funny because people are more aware of weather now than they were 50 years ago. Nobody cared. Because the mainstream media made it so that we need to fear. We need to fear. So people are paying attention now. Like where I am in now in Thailand, Indonesia, there are many earthquakes here all year long because of the faults under the ocean, this and that. It's been happening for thousands of years. But now people are like, oh my God, oh my God. This happens. The earth goes through rotations and this and that, and it's always shifting. So everything is constantly living. So we're always going to have earthquakes. We're always going to have tornadoes. We're always going to have storms. Yes, the levels of the earth change, this and that, like the water, this and that, because it's living, because it's a living being. Um, so I'm trying to remember what the question was. Oh, will we see more of it? Will we see more of storms? We're always going to have them, is what I'm saying. Yes, there may be times where there's floods or a tornado or something. Now they talk about politics creating storms through I forget what they call them for the planes. They have ways of creating weather, putting things on everything. So they say that the government creates weather, through I forget how they do it, but they do it through planes. They drop, I don't know, chemicals or something. Somehow they control the weather and everything, that everything's controlled by the government. And sometimes, that could be true. I don't know. I don't know these things, but sometimes if you look at everything, is our whole life here just a video game? You know what I mean? I mean, really, what reality do we want to be in? So there's many different angles and many different theories of how we live our life and how the weather is controlled, this and that. Yes, man-made things and man-made big boys, as I want to say, they control things and they do things and they invent things. And so, but it's not everything. It's part of it. Yes, people lose lives. It's very sad with war and everything. It's horrible, horrible in every way, and that's that evil, you know. But there are beautiful things in the world as well, and then there's a lot of beautiful things in the world as well. We're just not in tune to it because we're only being taught to oversee the darkness, you know. Um, but as far as weather, yeah, we're always going to have earthquakes. We're always going to have hurricanes, isn't it? It's been happening for thousands of years, you know? And they say, oh, well, it's going to get worse, isn't that? Well, you know, our earth does change. Our earth does change because of technology, because of the pollution, this and that. And it does affect our environment. So, yes, we need to clean it up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I do believe that again, we create our own reality, you know? So we should, it would be really great. I would love to like for everyone just to get on board and just clean the earth, you know what I mean? Will it help things? I don't know because the process of earth has its own way of life too. You know what I mean? Are these things happening because of things that have happened in the past, like the glacier age, this and that. Are things melting because things are melting because they can't stay frozen forever? You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. You know, so the earth changes too. You know, and there's some things that we just should not be worried about. I mean, yes, we should definitely be taking care of our planet, keeping the waters clean, the environments, and we should also be keeping our minds clean too. You know, inside. But it's important for us to live life too and not fear so much, you know. But yes, our concentration should be more on cleaning the earth. Is it the all end, this and that? We don't live forever, but we do live. Our bodies don't work, then our light lives. Our light leaves these bodies and goes into that collectiveness of love and light and energy and dimension. You know, this is not our only life here. This is just one little part of it, one little story, you know? So there's some things we're not, I don't believe we're meant to know everything because it's part of our journey. Like when we're born, we don't even know why we're born, right? Who are these people that are raising us? We don't even know them, but we know that we're supposed to be part of this, but we don't know why, right? And then we're taught religion. So this is God. This is oh, that's why. That's the first thing that you're taught, you know? Well, at least I was, anyways, because everybody has different experiences. So don't worry. I tell everyone, don't worry about dying. Just live because we don't worry about being born. It's a process. Everything happens for a higher reason. And sometimes we're just not supposed to know all of this. You know, it's part of our experience here, you know. I don't know everything. Believe me. Oh my gosh, I am not perfect in any way. Yes, I can connect to spirit. Yes, I'm able to see things. I'm able to allow myself to be the channel for spirit to show me things. Do I know everything? Absolutely not. Do I want to know? No. Why do I need to know? I need to live the experience, you know? I need to be in the moment. And the less I know, the more I'll see, you know? But there is no end. That's why you got to look at it like this. It's an experience, you know? So we're living in the moment, really. We're all spontaneous in a sense, you know? So trusting in that is most important than worrying about the outcome. Yes, we need to make good choices so we have a good outcome with the earth so that we don't ruin it, this and that, you know? And there's ways of always the earth is healing, so we can always heal the earth. You know, will we have storms, this and that? Absolutely will. We will, because that's just the way the earth works, you know, with its faults and its winds and this and that. And if it's true, if the government is changing the weather, well, shame on them. They shouldn't do that. They're interfering with the natural process. But it's just like the government interfering with our bodies medically as well. When we take medicines, it's interfering. Sometimes it doesn't stop the illness. It just suppresses it. It doesn't get to the heart of it, you know? So yeah, so it's really important for us to do the best we can and to be conscious and to help the earth and to understand that this is something that we share. This world that we're on, we're all in it together. This is what I've noticed as I'm traveling around the world. We're all the same. people are all the same. They come from different religions, different backgrounds, but people ultimately want the same thing. They want to be loved, they want to have purpose, they want to be successful. We're taught if you're not this, you're not that, then you're no good, you're not successful. That's not true. We come to here just as love and as beings. Everything else is extra. Not everybody can be the same in the world because that would be pretty boring world, right? If everybody was the same. So everybody plays a part in this world as well. If you're working if you're cleaning floors with a toothbrush, that's important. You do it 300%. You're helping. You have a purpose. And it doesn't mean so you're not making millions. It does. That's not going to make you happy. That's just going to give you more access to what things you want you know so it's important to just um, don't feed into the negativity and don't feed into the consciousness of control you know so just kind of stay into the moment and be spontaneous and make good choices for our outsource when it comes to the earth. Don't go in and put your trash in the ocean. Why would we do that? I remember the first time I came to India, I cried. I cried. Oh my God. I walked down the street and I was meeting my partner, and I just saw an ocean of plastics and trash everywhere on the sides of the streets. I was shocked. And I knew that I would see that, but when I came home and cried, and I said, "Oh my God, we have to do something now." Like I knew that I needed to do something now. So I went to all the places, all the stores. How can we get together? They said, "Don't worry, we're on top of it. Every Sunday, come out and we're picking it up." I said, "Okay, great." Because I said, "Shame on me for not helping." But they had just started, and they said, "Oh, in the last 50 years, it's gotten better. It's getting better." I said, "Okay, great." You have to do something. So make that change. If you can make that change. You don't need money to make that change. People will come together and help you. So it's all about learning to understand the vibrations around you. What feels good, what doesn't feel good. Common sense. A lot of people are book smart. They don't have common sense, street smarts. So not everything you read is real. This is true. But everything you see in front of you is real, you know? So I always say, get your head out of the book. Just because someone has a college degree doesn't make them smarter. It just means that they know how to read and take a test. So it's important. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's important to just stay true. Stay true and stay in the light, and not worry. Yes, we have to be cautious and understand that if we treat the earth this way, these things are going to happen. Absolutely. I don't know if all of it's true, what we're hearing, because I'm not that. Science does play a part in that. If the tests are coming this and that, then we need to do something about it as a collective. But I do know around the world that we're all the same. Everybody wants the same. It's the truth. So there's no better than anyone else. Not one religion or this is not better. Matter of fact, if we didn't have religions, it would be an easier place. The politics and the religion really play a part in um, our thoughts. So pay attention to that and try to get into the space of like meditation. That's actually great. It's really funny. I had a meditation center and people will say, I can't meditate. And I said, what's the problem? I think too much. I'm like, oh my God, that's wonderful. The first thing you need to do in meditation is be conscious. So you need to be aware and focus. So if you can think, this is wonderful. But we learn how to get rid of the inner monkey mind of thoughts, but it's okay to be able to think. So I always say, go on YouTube, click on some meditation, start that every day. That's a great way to begin and start your way to your inner light. And just be true to you inside. Listen to who you are. You're your own best friend. If you're thinking anything negative, 9 times out of the 10, it's fear, or it's something that was taught to us on a fear base. So know that you're in control. You can change anything you want to change. If you're overweight, you can change that. If you're this, you can change it. There's no end. There's no end and when you pass over, there's still no end. It's a continuation. So you have plenty of time. and know that this chapter can be a different chapter tomorrow, and if things don't feel right, you always have choice. You could always make a new choice, and that new choice changes your path constantly. A lot of people will say to me, "Oh, well, this is what I've come to this earth to do, this is that." Yeah, but you have choice. You have choice. You can choose it or you don't have to choose it, you know? So you can always, they'll say, "Oh, well, this person's this, and that, and, blah, 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 and this is just how it was." And blah, blah, blah. Well, no, they have choice. Some people don't know that they have choice and don't know how to use that choice, but everybody has free will. They have choice, you know? Well, I can see AI possibly being a threat in politics. And when I mean by that is like war and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Where I can see where it could be something, politics. I don't like politics. But it's true, it depends on how people use it again. So it's another tool. So AI is a tool, just like guns. Guns is a tool. It depends who holds it in their hand and how they use it. Same thing with AI, you know? So it's all about being trained and knowing how, and everything in this world can be feared. Walking across the street, there's ways to do it and ways not to do it, you know? So everything can be feared, you know? So but it also is an asset too. So it's about perception and how you're looking at it, you know? Years, thousands of years ago, my gosh, people would be thinking that we were doing witchcraft if we're talking on our cellular phones. It's paranormal, right? Same thing as AI. So it's new, it's feared, normal for human being to fear because false evidence appearing real. We don't know, you know? So again, it's new. So concentrating on the positivity again, not the negative part of it, because again, that negative part again creates the negativity again, brings the evil towards it instead of the positivity again. So it's always about perception. How am I perceiving it? This says, well, let's look at the positive things, what it can do. Let's focus on that. Because in everything, there's a negative and a positive. There's always a yin and a yang, you know? So there's a negative and a positive with everything. So what are you going to feed? The positive or the negative? And that's truly the game, the game changer when it comes to everything in the universe. What are you going to feed it? Are you going to feed it good or bad? You know? And, I have this thing in my house. I always say to my kids, when you can talk positive to me, I'll talk to you. You're being negative right now. They're like, "Oh," I go, "Well, let's change that thought." They're like, "Oh, stop it." you know? So it's easier to be negative about something because people feed off of that fear that they do. I don't know why, but it's just easier. And if we can all get into a space where we can find positive in everything, because we can, it'll be more of the collective. So changing that, I feel that that's really where the change needs to be in the way we perceive things. Because again, we create our own realities. So if everything in front of us is really negative, if people are being angry to us or mean and this and that, say, okay, what are my inner thoughts saying? Because I'm mirroring what I'm saying. So everything is energy. So if I'm feeling really ugly about myself. Oh, I'm ugly. I'm this, I'm that. Blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Everyone around you is going to feel that. They're going to believe that too because they're going to feel that energy. So I need to change that. Oh, I'm beautiful. I'm the queen. I'm this, I'm that. Well, everyone around you is going to feel that. Oh, she's the queen. You see what I'm saying? So it's important for us to pay attention to our inner thoughts. And how do we create beautiful inner thoughts? We have to have trust in a higher power, and to know that everything is energy and frequency. And what reality do you want to live in? There are many people here that are living in a negative reality constantly, and they're okay with it because they believe everybody's like that. They kick the dog, they do this and that. Well, that's just not true. It's magic. We create our own reality. I had a beautiful, loving family, but it was very dysfunctional when I grew up, okay? But I chose as an adult not to live like that. Sometimes they still all live like that, most of the time. But I'm choosing to react to it different and create my own way of living. And that's where your power is. You can change your reality. It's believing in yourself. A lot of people will say, "Well, I don't have the tools," or "They didn't have the tools to do that." Neither did I. It's about what you want to create. How bad do you really want it? So the best thing you can do is change your inner thoughts and tell yourself that you can. You're your own best friend. The only person that knows you best in this whole world is you. So you have to give yourself everything it needs. You're your own best friend.